All right, today we're stepping onto the bridge to really get a handle on the core functions of an ECDIS. We're going to dive into the absolute essentials, the stuff you'll be using on every single watch, and turn those routine tasks into truly professional skills.
And who better to guide us than Captain Cruvin himself? We'll be pulling directly from his expertise to understand not just what these functions do, but more importantly, why they are so incredibly critical for safe and effective seamanship.
So here's our game plan. We're going to break it down into 5 key areas. We'll start with setting up your display, then move into understanding your ship's motion. After that, we'll cover the essential tools for maneuvering and measuring, then hit on some critical safety functions. And we'll wrap it all up with some fantastic advice straight from the captain. Okay, first things first. Before you do anything else, you've got to set up your display properly. This is really the foundation of a safe watch. Getting this right from the get-go means you have total clarity on what's happening day or night without killing your eyes.
Though your very first move when you get to the bridge, it's almost always going to be that brilliant style. It seems so simple, doesn't it? But matching the screen's brightness to the light around you is an absolutely non-negotiable first step for a comfortable and effective watch.
And it goes beyond just brightness. The ECDIS gives you these specific color palettes for any condition. You've got day mode, which cuts through bright sunlight with super high contrast. Then there's dusk, which is perfectly optimized for that tricky light at dawn and twilight. And of course, night mode, which uses a dark palette designed specifically to protect your most valuable asset in the dark, your night vision.
And Captain Cruvin really drives this point home. Look, this isn't just about your own personal comfort. A screen that's blazing away at night can seriously compromise the night vision of everyone on the bridge. Using the right mode isn't just a suggestion, it's a fundamental part of good seamanship and professional discipline.
Okay, so your display is all set. Now you have to decide how the ECDIS is going to present the world to you. And this really comes down to 2 key ideas for getting yourself oriented: chart orientation and motion mode.
So, you've got 3 main ways to look at the chart. North up is your classic map view. North is always at the top. It's perfect for that big picture planning. Then there's course up, which locks in your intended track. This is great for those long, straight legs of a voyage. And finally, you have head up, which puts your ship's bow at the top of the screen. It literally mimics what you see out the window, giving you a huge intuitive advantage in tight maneuvers.
Next up, you gotta decide how things move on your screen. You have 2 options. In relative motion, your ship stays put right in the middle, and the world just kind of scrolls by. But in true motion, the chart is fixed, and your little ship icon actually moves across it, just like you were pushing a model ship across a paper chart.
So what's the pro move here? Well, Captain Cruvin tells us that for general navigation, most officers prefer that north-up and true motion combo. It's just the best for overall situational awareness. But when things get tight, say in a narrow channel or some heavy traffic, they'll flip over to head-up and relative motion. Why? Because it gives you that intuitive out-the-window view you need for immediate collision avoidance.
Okay, so we know how to see the world. Now, let's dig into the tools we use to actually interact with it. Think of these as the digital instruments you'll have right at your fingertips for all your measuring and maneuvering needs.
Probably the most critical tool here is the vector. Just think of vectors as these predictive arrows. They extend out from your ship and from other targets to show you where everyone is going to be in a set amount of time. Honestly, they're your #1 tool for seeing into the future and figuring out collision risk.
You mainly work with 2 types. The true vector shows a vessel's actual path across the ground. But for collision avoidance, the relative vector, that's the king. It shows you how another vessel is moving in relation to you. And here's the crucial part. If that vector is pointing right at your ship, you're on a collision course. Simple as that. You can even set these vectors to predict, say, 6 or 12 minutes into the future to see exactly how a situation is going to play out.
And for those quick, on-the-fly measurements, you've got the EBL and the VRM. They're incredibly simple, but you'll use them constantly. The EBL is basically your digital ruler for measuring the exact bearing to any point, and the VRM is your compass for measuring the precise distance. Couldn't be easier.
All right, let's shift gears from routine navigation to critical safety. These next 2 functions, they are non-negotiable. You absolutely have to know how to use them instantly, without even thinking about it.
First up is the man overboard function. In a real emergency, there's no time to fumble around. You hit one button, MOB. That's it. The ECDIS instantly drops a mark on the incident's exact position and immediately starts giving you a continuous bearing and range right back to that spot. That's absolutely vital information for any search and rescue operation.
Now, the second critical function is all about being proactive, not reactive. It's the route safety check. And it's basically an automated audit that you run on your voyage plan before you even think about leaving the dock.
The process is really simple, but incredibly powerful. You just load up your plan route and tell the system to check it. The ECDIS then scans every single leg of the voyage against the safety parameters you've already set, like your minimum depth. Then it spits out a complete list of every potential hazard, letting you fix problems while you're still planning, long before they could become a real danger at sea.
So, we've covered a ton of ground, huh? From display settings all the way to safety checks. But how do you take all this information and actually turn it into a true professional skill? Well, let's wrap things up with some direct advice from Captain Cruvin.
And this brings us to what might be the captain's single most important piece of advice. Reading about this stuff, it's not enough. Not even close. True mastery only comes from practice. You have to get your hands dirty, whether it's on a simulator or right there on the bridge. You need to build that muscle memory until these operations become completely second nature.
So that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. After going over all these core operations, from display modes and vectors to the MOB button and route checks, which one of these skills will you make a point to practice and really master on your very next watch?